welcome back to my channel, Book Talks with Yo. My name is Yoanna and today we are doing the Save One, Drop One Book Edition tag challenge thingy. So, I first watched this challenge on Jazz the Reader's YouTube channel and then on Haley in Bookland's one, and it looked like so much fun, so I decided to do it. I will leave links to their original videos down in the description box, but yeah, basically what you do is choose two random books and decide which one you want to save and which one you want to drop, basically. And yeah, I've written the names of a few, the titles of a few books I've read here, and I'll draw two random ones and pretty much say which one I prefer from those two. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. So yeah, let's draw two titles. I wrote them the other day, so I've forgotten some of the titles I've put here. But yeah, this is the first one and this is the second one. The first one we have Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and then we have Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Okay, those are two very different books, and both books I love a lot. Fangirl is a book I've reread this book a few times, but the first time I read it I was around 16, but yeah, university was still far away from me, but I started dreaming about it when I read this book, and the character is studying literature and writing, which is basically what I'm doing right now, so it is dear to my heart. And the romantic story is pretty interesting here. It is pretty relatable, the characters are pretty relatable, so I love that one. But then Renegades is one of my favorite, it's one of the best books I've read. It took me a lot of time to read it for whatever reason. I have this bad habit, when I like a book really much, I postpone reading it as much as possible so I can continue enjoying it or something like this. It doesn't make sense, but in my head it makes some sense. And I was reading it for a long time. I first started reading it on my ebook, then I started really liking it and I ordered the book. I stopped reading until I received my book, and because I was still living in Bulgaria, it took a lot of time to be shipped to me. But yeah, then I continued reading the physical one, but then I had to leave. Yeah, I had to leave for university and I didn't carry the physical book with me, so I started reading it on my phone, and I finished reading it on my phone between lectures. But yeah, I really enjoyed the fast-paced dynamics of this book, the fast pace. I love the characters, they're really original, and our main character, Nova, has this special ability that she doesn't need to sleep, which is basically my dream as a overachiever and perfectionist who wants to do a lot of things. But yeah, I still have to choose which one to save and which one to drop. It's a really difficult choice, but I think in this case I will save Renegades and drop Fangirl. Sorry, Fangirl. Okay, next two books are... This is the first one and this is the second one. So, the first one is The Shadow of the Wind. Okay, I already know this is going to be difficult because this is my favorite book. And then we have The Duchess Dio by Tessa Dare. Okay, this is difficult now. Well, not that difficult. I love The Shadow of the Wind. I've talked about this book in many of my videos because this is my favorite one and I would never shut up about it. It's by Carlos Ruiz Zafón and it's set in Barcelona. It's a historical fiction book, it has mystery, it has murder, the plot is very interesting, and it's an interesting book for book lovers. Yeah, I love the plot, I love the mystery, I love the characters, I love the writing, so maybe you can already guess that I'm going to choose this one, but I also liked The Duchess Dio. It was my first Regency romance novel. And I like the banter between the characters, and if you've watched my videos, you know that in a romantic book I really value good banter between characters. So Yeah, it's a difficult choice, but still, The Shadow of the Wind is my favorite one, so I'm saving that one and dropping The Duchess Deal. Okay, next up we have... Okay, this is the first one, and this is the second one. Okay, the first one is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. And then we have... Oh, Daisy Jones and the Six! Okay, okay. I was hoping that this doesn't happen because I love both books so much, but let's see. The Book Thief is one of the first historical fiction books I've ever read, and this is pretty much what got me into reading historical fiction. And again, if you've watched my videos for a while, you know that I love historical fiction books, so it is special. It is a special book for my reading taste. And I liked the story, I liked the plot, it was heart-wrenching, I cried, and it is a very original book because it's written from the perspective of death, which is not something you meet so commonly in books. You don't have this in many books, and then the writing is really, really good in this one. But then Daisy Jones and the Six was one out of the most unique books I've ever read. I actually listened to the audiobook and I'm still to read. I'm yet to read the physical one, but I loved listening the audiobook, and I admire the author for her great characters, because all characters feel so real that I actually had to check whether this was a real band, because I was so sure that they were real people. And I love the writing style, I love the idea of hearing different people's perspectives on the same things and seeing how things change and how different people perceive things in a different manner. And I love the drama, I love the relationships there, and it's a very difficult one again. Why am I doing this challenge as an indecisive person? But yeah, I think in this case I'm saving Daisy Jones and the Six and dropping The Book Thief, although I still love it a lot. Okay, next pairing we have... Okay, we have one, and we have... Okay, the second one. We have The Great Gatsby, again, another one of my favorites here. And the second one is To Kill a Mockingbird. No! Okay, both classics, both American classics, both great classics, classics I love. Okay, let's see. The Great Gatsby is one of my favorites again. I feel like I'm saying this for every book, but all those books are above 4 stars for me. Or I think they are, most of them. So it's really difficult to choose, but The Great Gatsby is one of my favorite classics. I think I didn't appreciate it that much the first time I read it. Like, at the beginning of the book, when I was first reading it, I was slightly bored, I'm gonna admit. But then at the middle of the book, I got really invested into the plot and the characters and the love story. And yeah, by the end of it, I was already loving it. I watched the movie as well, which is very good. And we have Leonardo DiCaprio starring, so it's good. And yeah, I love the parties and I love the roaring 20s and just love the setting and the ideas behind this book and the symbolism. Yes, a literature student, the symbolism is great. And yeah, okay, that one is a very good book. I can talk about it on and on and on because I've reread it 5 times already and I'm all ready to read it again. But yeah, it's a very good book. But at the same time, To Kill a Mockingbird is also another book I've talked about in some of my videos because I read it, well, last year in 2020, and it was a very important book in my opinion. We have very interesting characters. We have the whole book through the eyes of a little girl, Scout Finch. We have great family and relationships and friendships. And all the topics that are explored in this book are so vital and so important. We're talking about intolerance, we're talking about racial issues, we're talking about learning how to take difficult decisions and doing what's right, even though some people might question what you're doing. And yeah, just we are growing up together with the main characters who are kids. We have Scout and her brother, and there's two kids, they're young. Yeah, it's a very important book, and although I've read it only once, I feel like I cannot stop thinking about it, and I cannot stop recommending it. So it's a very close, maybe this is the closest draw between those two books, but only for nostalgia's sake, I'm gonna choose The Great Gatsby. But I'm saying again, those are very, very close in my heart. So it's almost, if I could save both, I would. But if I only had to choose one, it would be The Great Gatsby. Okay, so next up we have, this is the first book. And then, oops, no. Okay, this one wanted to go out, so I'm choosing that one. And it is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Backman. And then the first one we drew was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Wow. Those are two very, very different books. Okay. I don't know how to talk about them in comparison. They're very different. Like, Ugly Love is a romantic story, and I've talked about it in I think 2 of my videos, or at least 1. So I'm going to be brief about the plot, but we have 2 main characters, and this is kind of your story of, well, they're not enemies to lovers, but they don't really get that well on with each other at the beginning of the book, but they agree, they have this undeniable attraction between them. They have this they have banter going on between them, and they agree to have this agreement. Let's call it an agreement. They don't they're not friends, they're not lovers, it's not even friends with benefits, it's something in between, something messy. But it's I'm sucker for romantic stories, so I love that one. I enjoyed it. And although the plot might seem a bit cliche to you, I promise it's a very fresh intake of the story. And then My Grandma Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. It's a very original story, like every story that author writes. He has such unique characters. This is the author of A Man Called Uwe, if you don't know, and many more books, but this is just I think it's his most popular one. And the writing in that one really got me. I was crying, I was sobbing while reading this book, and all the characters were so unique, so fleshed out, so relatable, and it was fun. It made me cry, it made me laugh, and this was all in a matter of a page. Even it was just very emotional read, and yeah, this is all I can say. I was just very emotional while reading it, and it's a very special book for me as well, because I was really close with my grandmother, and yeah, it just reminded me of our relationship, although that was very hectic and bizarre, but it was still hilarious and emotional, and I loved it. So I'm saving that one, and I'm sorry, Colleen Hoover, but I'm dropping Ugly Love, although I love it and it's one of my favorite romantic books. Okay, next one we have, there's the first one and second one. So the first one we drew was American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Okay, that's a good one. And then second one is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. Again, very different. Let me see. American Gods was a very interesting book. It's very unique. It's kind of gruesome at some points, not gonna lie. And if you've seen the series, you know what I mean. Or if you've read the book, of course. Yeah, it's gruesome, but it has a really original premise. And, you know, Neil Gaiman's writing is good, so we don't even have to mention this. I enjoyed it. I laughed. I was shocked. I admit at some points it was a bit too slow paced for me, but it really picked up at the end and it left me wanting more, so that's always a good sign. And With the Fire on High was a really nice story, and I love the main character, and I loved her recipes because she's sharing her recipes throughout the book, and those were great. I haven't attempted to cook any of them because I don't believe myself. I don't trust myself I don't trust my cooking skills, but it was still interesting. It was a very original thing to put in a book, in a fiction book. Yeah, I loved our main character girl, and her love interest was also a very nice boy. And she has a girl, and also we have her mother. And yeah, all the relationships there were really heartwarming, and overall the story and the idea behind the story is very good. So I think in this case I will have to pick that one up. Yeah, I'm choosing someone else over Neil Gaiman in this case, but yeah, it's again, it's very close, but I'm saving With the Fire on High, and I'm dropping American Gods. I'm sorry. So we have 3 more pairings. We have, okay, that's the first one, and then second one. Okay, whoops, right here. The first one is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Warren. That one, I love that one, so I'm scared to check the second one. But oh, it's Strange. No, it's Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. No, I love those books so much. I can't choose between them. Okay, okay. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating is a romantic story, and I love romantic stories. And it's a good romantic story. The banter between the 2 characters is my favorite one from all the books I've read. I love both characters. The female character, I forgot her name for a second. I'm so stupid. It's Hazel. It's in the title. Okay, don't mind me, please. I haven't slept well this evening. But okay, Hazel. We love Hazel. She is this funny, witty, and bizarre girl, and she's all over the place. And some of the men in her life previously have made her think that she is too much to handle. But then our male character appears, Josh, and he is this lovey-dovey guy. I just love them so much, and they do this thing when they set each other up on those double blind dates, but they are all bizarre and they're all hilarious, and those 2 end up forming a relationship, let's say. And it's no spoilers, to be honest. You can see it from the beginning. Their banter is just one to die for. So yeah, I love them. I love this book. I want to reread it. I just love it, and it's my favorite romantic book I've read in 2020. I think my favorite romantic story ever. But then Strange the Dreamer is my other favorite book. I seriously feel like I'm saying this for all the books, but I just love them all. They're all my babies. I can't choose from my babies. It's different. It's difficult, not different. But yeah, Strange the Dreamer is one of the few fantasy books I've read, but it's my favorite one. It's great, it's amazing, the plot is great, the characters are very original, the love interest is nice, the premise is nice, the world building is great, and it's just amazing. Another one I've talked about in many of my videos because I love it and I'll never stop loving it. And I also love the second book, its sequel, which is Muse of Nightmares, but the first one, Strange the Dreamer, is my ultimate favorite. As I said, I love the world building and the characters, which is all I need in a book. And yeah, it was just the most original story I've read. So as much as my heart hurts for Josh and Hazel, I'm dropping them and I'm choosing Strange the Dreamer. Okay, last 2. We have the first one and then the second one. And then we have 2 more left. So the first one we drew was Carry On, again by Rainbow Rowell. And, oops, The Hate You Give, by Angie Thomas. Okay, that's pretty much an easy one. I liked Carry On. It's the book that our character from Fangirl, I think that was one of the first books, the first one, is writing. The character, I think it was Kat, she is writing Carry On as a fan fiction of a famous, I think, book or series. Not really sure. I've read this book last in 2019, so not really sure. But yeah, Carry On is very similar to Harry Potter, but we have vampire, yeah, and magicians, or game magicians, but in a different type of magicians. And I think the villain in that one was Humdrum or something like this. It was a good book. It was a decent read. Not my favorite, but it was still interesting to read, especially after you've read Fangirl, because in Fangirl you have snippets of that fanfic that Kat is writing, which is actually the book Carry On. But The Hate You Give is one of the most important books I've read. I think I read it at the beginning of 2019, and I want to reread it. And yeah, it's just very important. The topics explored in it are great. The characters are really real and honest. They're utterly real and just they're great. They're all so fleshed out and so realistic and so authentic, and just the writing is amazing. I was sobbing, I was shocked, and I was really emotionally invested in that story. It was the first one I read in 2019, I think, and I couldn't stop thinking about it throughout the year. It was just that good. And I still haven't read her other books, but I mean to, and I will definitely pick them up this year, because that one, The Hate You Give, was, as I say again, one of my ultimately favorites and one of the most important books I've ever read. So yeah, I'm obviously saving The Hate You Give and dropping Carry On. And the last two are, oops, let me see. The first one is Wuthering Heights. Oh, Emily Bronte, I love that one. And then The Poetics by Elizabeth Acevedo again. Okay. Both good books. Very different again. Wuthering Heights is a classic, and The Poetics is a modern book written nowadays. But it's written in prose, which is quite unique, especially from the books I've read. I think this is the only book written in verse that I've read, but I loved it. And I love the story. It was a really quick read. I think I read it in one sitting, which is always a good thing, you know. It's a good sign. And yeah, the poems were interesting. The main character, she had a really original voice, and her slam poetry was, it was just very good. And the topics, the themes explored in that one are really something that people usually go through, and this is something, some of them you can relate to. It's about growing up, it's about finding your place in the world, it's about forming the relationships with the people around you and accepting yourself, learning to love yourself. So it's a very relatable book. And yeah, and then Wuthering Heights, I actually have a mixed feelings about that book, because the first time I read it, I hated it. I didn't hate it, but it was my least favorite classic. I think that was when I was 10th grade. Yeah, I was 10th grade. I had to read it for my English literature class back home here in Bulgaria. And I didn't really like it. I was bored and I was confused, because the storyline is really confusing. You have some of the characters who are conveniently named, like, the kids, some of the kids, because we have a few generations, some of the kids are conveniently named after some of the characters from the first generation, so their parents, and this gets really messy and really confusing. And we have story within the story. We have one of the characters, Nelly Dean, telling the story to this guy, Walkwood, who is telling the story to us. So it's kind of confusing. Oh, I dropped one book already. Okay, let me just check them. Okay. Not my choice, but okay. So yeah, I love that one. After you get over the initial confusion caused by all those things, it's a good one. I have my copy back in Dundee, in Scotland, and if you've seen it in some of my videos, it's very, very densely annotated because I love most of the quotes there. And I was analyzing this book this year at university, so it's fresh in my mind yet. And yeah, I think I like both books. They're very different, as I'm saying again, but I think I'm going to save Wuthering Heights, which is on the ground right now. Ironically, I dropped that one, and I'm going to drop The Poet X. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. I really hope you enjoyed watching, and if you did, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on my new videos. Please remember that this is just my opinion and just my personal opinion, and you're completely free to like or hate whichever book you want. And if I dropped some book that you like, this doesn't mean you cannot like it. This is just my opinion and you're entitled to yours as I'm entitled to mine. Yeah, please let me know down in the comments which of those books you've read and what are your thoughts on them. Please let me know which books you would drop and which ones you would save. Thank you once more for watching, and I really hope to see you all next time. Until then, have a smiley week. Bye!